Audio recorded. If you would like or need an access to this or previous meetings audio recordings, please see the town administrator. Also, a gentle reminder that we are on live Western Hill Access Television, and we'd like to welcome any and all viewers. Peter, if you're not already done so, even though we know you, if you would please sign in.
Yep, I didn't have that, sorry. You're welcome. Do you need this?
No, but if someone else can,
If anybody else
comes in. Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
This is a working session of the planning board, Maine's freedom of access law entitles the public to attend the meeting, take notes of the meeting, to make an audio or visual recording of the meeting. A reminder that the board's policy is not to allow the public to comment during the meeting. However, as chairperson, I may allow exceptions to this when it's in the interest of the board. Also, by our planning board bylaws, this meeting may not last for more than 2.5 hours. The meeting may be extended by 30-minute increments if a motion to extend with a pro vote is made for each 30-minute increment. Should we not extend the meeting, any remaining agenda items or discussions will be tabled at that time. Tonight's business includes unfinished business for Block Summit Estates and a request for extension to application 16-223. We have a new application, number 26-291, Barker Pump House, Sunny River Skiway Incorporated. And we still have the unfinished proposal to adopt rules of procedure. Prior to that, let's take attendance. And while we take attendance, I'll ask each member of the board to identify themselves for voice recognition purposes. My name is Ted Baker. I am the chair of the board.
Heidi Murata, Vice Chair of the Board.
Cindy White, Secretary of the Board.
Let the record show that Meredith Hare, our alternate, is absent tonight. Next, we'll talk about a quorum. We have 3 board members here tonight. So we have a quorum. Cindy, did you take the time to read? I mean, not Cindy. Heidi, did you take the time to?
No, I did not.
Okay, so I don't, any business that relates to the last meeting, I'll have to set aside. Let's move on to the minutes. Oh, first of all, we have a new, Rick, did you sign in?
He did.
Yes. Okay, thank you. Let's talk about the minutes of the prior meeting, which was on April 15th, 2026. Does any member of the board have any edits or comments on the minutes? And hearing none, I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
A second?
Second, I can do that even though I didn't,
You can second, you just don't.
yeah.
You
Go
can
ahead.
vote.
Second.
Well, I'll second it too. Okay. With a motion has been made to approve the minutes as written for the April 15th meeting, and we'll take 2 votes on this, Cindy and myself, since Heidi was not here for that. 2. Let the record show that the minutes are approved. Let's move on to correspondence.
You have an email from Meredith, which you'll talk about during the procedures. And I have included in the CEO report, if you want to wait until then, but it's just a third-party inspection report of Lock Summit.
Okay. For the minutes, let it be known that our alternate member, Meredith Mahara, sent us an email. The subject is rules of procedure, minutes, language, suggestions, and that email was dated Tuesday, May 5th, 2026. And the second correspondence that the CEO mentioned is a memorandum to Joel Corey, Town of NEWRY, as well as Courtney McPherson, Town of Bethel CEO, and to Chris Kennison, owner, from Samuel T. Rock, who's a project engineer. The subject is Lock Summit Road, NEWRY in Bethel, Maine. The date is April 29, 26, and this is a third-party inspector report, and the CEO will talk about that when we make our reports. Any other correspondence to be entered into the record? All right. Well, I'll wait till our CEO gets back.
Are you up to me?
I am.
I'm printing that email for Becky for the record.
Which email are you talking about?
I have an email that between our town attorney, Mainland, talking about the conditional, agreement.
Okay, yeah, I need
So,
that, I don't have.
Yep, it's printing.
Was that a new one, new piece of correspondence?
No, it's not a new.
That was the one.
She usually
from the
put, I don't send, when I'm sending things to the board, I don't always
Okay.
remember to CC Becky, so I print it for her, so she has it for the file.
Let's move on now to business unfinished, the Lock Summit Estates request for extension to an application 16223, an update from the CEO.
That, the email back and forth between Rick and I and the town attorney for Becky for the records, just ironing out the details for the conditional agreement.
Okay, so there's no change and there's no action for the board.
There has been no change. I do have an updated irrevocable letter of credit that I got handed by the applicant tonight. So
Okay.
I'll scan that in and send it out to everyone, or I can hand out hard copies. How would you like to
The most
proceed?
important person to get that would be the attorney.
Okay, so I'll scan that and send that to him tomorrow.
Okay, so
Okay.
for the record then.
Do you want it covered in the finding of facts?
It'll, yeah. There's really nothing for this board to do. It's getting ironed out between the attorneys, and then it goes to the select board at this
Yeah,
point.
that's fine. If you want it listed in the finding of facts, then I need a copy of it, that's all I'm saying.
I'm looking to my chair for that. What do you think?
We're doing a findings of fact on the application extension.
At some point, I do a finding of facts on, once you guys have voted to either extend it or not, or whatever.
We already passed that.
Yeah.
vote.
That's
passed
already
that
been,
motion.
We already did that.
the vote was already, that was done on March 18th.
Yeah.
So where we are now is
Still.
just in the administrative haggle of getting those two pieces of paper implemented.
Okay.
So for the
Usually the
findings of,
finding of facts aren't created until that application is no longer before the board. It's like, once it's done its last meeting, then I do
Okay.
the finding of facts, so
So-
that the whole
so
picture's included in the
Joel
finding
will,
of facts.
will forward a copy of that email to you for
Yeah.
inclusion into the findings of fact.
Okay.
And you can hold it until
Yeah.
the lawyers get done with that.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
why, you know, like, even when you guys say that you're going to sign the plans at the next meeting, I don't do the finding of facts until the applicant is no longer coming before the board.
Okay.
Then I do.
Does any member of the board have any other issues with this subject? Okay,
Okay.
moving on. Our next matter of business is new application from Sunny River Skiway Incorporation.
Looking for an introduction?
No,
Okay.
I'm just getting to where I need to get to here. Changing hats, Peter. Okay, so we have an application
Party at this point.
which has been assigned number 26-291. It's submitted by Sunday River Skiway Incorporated, and it involves the Barker Pump House. Just a quick overview, which Peter will give us much more detail, is that the Sunday River is looking to replace the pump house with something different.
It was an expensive fire.
The details I don't know, okay. This will be a site plan, and I will make the motion. I move that application 26-291 Barker Pump House replacement be considered as an amendment to Sunday River Skiway Incorporated Barker Pump House approved site plan dated May 4th, 1994. Let me read that again.
We're going back.
I move that application 26-291 Barker Pump House replacement be considered as an amendment to Sunday River Skiway Incorporated Barker Pump House approved site plan dated May 4th, 1994. May I have a second, please?
Well,
So
Then we can go into
I'll do a
discussion.
second, and then we'll
We can
get,
go into
I'll
discussion.
do the second.
Okay, thank you.
Because I got questions.
All right. All right, so Sunday River came before the NEWRY Planning Board in April of 1994 with a site plan permit application for the Barker Brook Pump House, not the Barker Brook, but the Barker Pump House. And that application is still in effect.
Interesting, so we don't, yeah, explain that one to me to help me understand,
Okay,
yeah.
okay, so this isn't a new site plan. It is an existing site plan that's been approved, albeit 32 years ago. If I'm not correct. And therefore, my motion, and I'm in favor of treating it as an amendment to that site plan as opposed to a brand spanking new site plan application. Any comments on that?
Is that because it's in the same footprint? Is that the basics? I'm just trying to understand where
It's,
like we're
it's
doing
the same, it's in the
extensions
same location, maybe not the same footprint, but it's in the same location. It's the same function. It's just modernizing an existing structure and machinery. I don't even care about the machinery inside of it, I just care about the structure. It's just modernizing a structure that has already been approved and been operating for the last 32 years.
Is that another question?
well, I guess
I've gone twice.
my question would be, if it's major modifications, why wouldn't you consider it a new application to go under whatever laws are right now versus if you're amending it, would it still be under the same laws back in 1984?
No, when we amend, because it's an amendment, today's UDRO applies to the amendment.
So what's the purpose of doing an amendment versus new? What would be the reasoning behind that?
The reason, to expedite the proceedings in that a argument could be made that all the items that were reviewed in 1994 as such as the criteria approval, et cetera, still apply and have not changed, and therefore there's no need to revisit all that. It's the same as we did a amendment to a lot, to a subdivision that is just, a lot split. There's no need to go through the entire subdivision saying, do we have to review all the criteria of approval for just that one little thing?
I'd like to ask one more question about that, only because do we think that the paperwork in 1994 was complete? Because we did have that situation with the last applicant where some of the things were missing from the application.
That's a individual board member's judgment call.
I've
Did
never
we-
seen the
did you-
1994, so I don't know
Did you-
what that looks like.
Did you distribute the 94 findings of fact that you dug up?
No,
Oh,
you asked for them.
I
Nobody
know
else.
I asked for
Nobody
it.
else got it. Nobody else
I mean-
emailed me or anything.
This is hard because we show up and we get this here. I mean, if we had gotten this maybe 3 days ago, we would have asked.
I sent out an email asking if anybody wanted hard copies, I was gonna deliver that, and that was over 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I sent that out,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you guys had the packet, I emailed that out too.
I think it
Oh,
was
right.
emailed electronically.
Yes.
I think the whole thing.
Yeah,
is
I did, I forwarded all that.
electronic.
All right,
Yeah,
maybe
you
I'll have
did
to
say.
check my email, because I don't remember that.
All right, so,
Okay.
so, aside from the motion, just
Okay.
general discussion, this is the first you've seen of the application.
Right.
Okay. Cindy?
It's just different in that it was 32 years ago.
Okay, but just relating
Oh,
to
yeah.
the email that Joelle sent out,
Yes, I saw the email Joel sent out.
and you got the electronic documents, which were attached to that email.
It would've been back on the 22nd or 23rd of.
I know that you sent an email that said all the documents would be available if we wanted them for the previous. Yeah.
Okay. Have you had time to review?
No, I've only reviewed what was that one document you sent or somebody sent, that was the application. I reviewed the application.
Okay, the application, the only thing that wasn't attached to that was the drawings,
In the 1994.
and then the
Right.
1994.
I didn't look at the name, I just
Okay.
made the assumption it was, and I'm not necessarily, I'm not saying I'm against it being amendment. I'm just trying to understand how we can do that when a project was 32 years ago and I'm assuming the permit closed.
An approved permit, site plan permit, does not expire unless the permit goes into disuse for 2 years. And
So is it similar?
you've been making snow every year, right?
Yeah, yeah. So is it similar in some ways to the Lock Mills one, and they asked for but that was asking for an extension for
Two different,
Existing
two
project.
different things.
different things, okay.
Two different things. In the Lock Summit Estates is a subdivision,
Yep,
and section 3E of the UDRO is quite specific about start and stop, start dates and completion dates.
yep.
That start and completion date could also apply to a site plan, but the site plan back in 94 started, or has been completed, whether or not the exact dates I'm not sure of.
Yeah.
I'm not sure Peter Barnes doesn't know that either.
I
Yeah.
didn't even realize there was an approved site plan, so I'd like to take a look at that when you're.
See if you approve of the 1994 site plan.
Okay, so, we're,
Yeah, so that project was completed,
right,
the other
But
project
the-
is not completed.
Okay,
Right.
yeah.
And the site plan permit, as long as the pump house continued in operation for,
Right.
except for, unless it stopped for 2 years, it continues on in perpetuity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and what's the difference in size between the old one and the new one?
The new one's gonna be reduced in size, actually, there's a
okay.
lot of wasted space in the old building,
Yeah,
so
probably
it's
everything's changed.
probably like a 5% reduction off
Yeah.
the top of my head in square footage.
Yeah,
So, just to reiterate, I'm making the motion to make the amendment, because I personally feel that there was no need to have to go back and rediscover points that were already approved in a permit by this board, even though it was 36 years ago. That's just, we each have to make our own opinion, and when we vote on the motion, we either go with it or without it. So, any other discussion matters on that?
no, thanks for explaining.
Okay. Now, I can withdraw the motion if we want to table this so that everybody has a chance to look at this application. Peter, you're not starting construction until what, next year? So, other than your free time on a Wednesday night,
Yeah.
would a 2-week delay cause anguish and physical, or mental harm?
I don't think so, no, I think we're kind of in what feels like rare opportunity to actually plan ahead and get permits
Okay,
ahead of time.
I will withdraw my motion. We will proceed with the application up to the point of determining completeness. At which point, we will then table the application. Give everybody a chance to review the application. And then
We
come
could
back
come back
next week
revisit.
with that. Is everybody agreeable with that? Heidi says yes.
Is it possible to, just to thinking about our time and that we're already here, is it possible to pull out, take some time to look at the 1994 plan over
Sure,
here?
sure.
Just thinking that we're already here, if there's,
And I'm sure it's at Joel's fingertips. Okay, let the record show that I am withdrawing my motion. Okay, so at the moment, then, this application remains as a site plan permit request. Next is we have, does the planning board have jurisdiction? And I will make the motion that I move that the following finding, I move the following finding of fact. Under UDRO section 1C2, applicability for site plans applies to this application, and therefore I make the conclusion that the planning board has jurisdiction.
Yes.
yes.
Okay, I hear 2 seconds with that, even though they were yes. Okay. Any discussion on this? So, section 1, what was it? Section 1C2 talks about the applicability, and section 2 specifically about site plans, and therefore, we have jurisdiction. Any other discussion on this? I will take a vote on that. 1, I do.
1, 2. I vote.
2, okay, 3. All right, so we have we do have jurisdiction. Next, we need to consider the applicant's standing. And I will make the motion, I move that the proof of ownership determined in the original site plan review still applies, and therefore the applicant, Sunday River Skiway, has standing. I will also add to that, that it's common knowledge that the Barker Brook Pump House belongs to Sunday River. And that in itself is sufficient to determine that the applicant has standing. Anybody want to second that?
Second.
Okay, any discussion on that? I'll take a motion that the applicant has standing. I'll take a vote that the application has standing. 1, 2,
3.
all right. Let the record show that Brian Eon, did I say that correctly? Eon, the general manager of Sunday River, has provided a letter dated 6 May of 2026, giving one Peter Roberts, professional engineer, agency to represent Sunday River Skiway on the matters before this board.
Yeah. Thank you.
Does any board member have any bias or conflict of interest? Let the record show that the chair, Ted Baker, is an employee of Sunday River Skiway Incorporated. However, given that my part-time hire as a shuttle bus operator results in a pecuniary interest so minor that a reasonable disinterested person would agree that a conflict of interest does not exist. That's my statement. Heidi, are you still employed, or have you been?
No, I am not.
Okay, so you are no longer until next winter,
Correct, I'm
Okay.
still,
and so you have no other conflicts of interest?
no, I do not.
Okay,
No conflict of interest.
okay. Anybody have any questions on my statement?
No.
Peter, you have any conflict with my statement?
No.
Okay. Let the record show that the board does not have any conflict of interest or bias against the applicant. Peter, do you have any objections to having the alternate, who is not here tonight, the code enforcement officer or the recording secretary, participate in the board's discussion?
No.
Thank you. All right, Peter, have you paid the application fee?
No, I had a discussion with Joelle about what the application fee should be, and so, we were a little inconclusive, so I,
Okay, would you enlighten the board with what the question was, or what the perplexity is?
yeah, so the budget and fee that I had calculated to bring tonight was just for site work and the building. The pump skid, electrical gear, all that stuff inside the building is actually much, much more expensive than the building itself. I kind of was asked to float that by Joelle and make sure that smelled right and that we weren't kind of pulling the wool over the planning board's eyes with the cost of the project. She was like, well, if it is a pump house, it probably should include the cost of the pumps and the application fee. So I did put together a different budget to match the one that's in, 10.4?
Could I have you hold right there, please?
Yep.
All right, so the question to the board is, should the application fee be based on simply the structure that is being modernized? Or should the application not only include the structure that's being modernized, but all the paraphernalia and other machinery that would be placed inside of it? But,
The question so if we were doing, let's say condominium that was being built, and it was being built to include
Oh, sprinkler system.
sprinkler system, to include sinks and toilets and all those pieces, that wouldn't be included in the cost of that construction. But how somebody outfitted their own condominium with tables, chairs, that's like their own cost. But would we be including would we be determining the cost of that construction to include toilets, sinks?
thank you.
I'm just trying to
I
understand that
hear what you're
line.
saying, yeah.
No, that would be my same type of
All right,
question.
let me give you my take on that.
Yeah,
You've got an apple and an orange here. A condominium, the required improvements on a condominium would not include interior finishing. It would include the shell of the building, because that's what belongs to the condominium association, unless the declaration of condominium establishes elsewhere. So your standard multi-unit dwelling condominium, declaration of condominium, delineates the boundary between common area and private area being the drywall.
so someone could take their toilet with them when they leave then.
Somebody could take their toilet with them when they leave.
I'm
They
just
can't-
trying, I'd say that somewhat, not
So
facetiously, but just
the
trying to.
wiring inside the wall belongs to
You can't
the,
take the pipes.
You
What
can't take the
could-
pipes.
You could take the toilet,
they could
if you really like it.
now, I guess you could possibly, but the other required improvements that go into the definition of required improvements would be, stormwater management, roads,
So in the situation of the pump house, does it then include all the cost of all the wiring, the pipes, all that, but not the physical pumps? Because theoretically, they can take the pumps with them, kind of thing.
right,
If you,
that would be one.
Probably being built around the
That
building.
would be
but-
one interpretation, is that what goes into the building is
Yeah.
of no concern to, and again, I'm just throwing ideas out there, I'm not,
Yeah,
what goes into the building is of no concern to the permit process.
yeah. We're not permitting that pump, we're permitting the construction of that building.
Right. Now, you could, somebody else could argue, well, hey, you're building a pump house, you can be drawing millions of gallons of water out of someplace. Where's that water coming from, and is that gonna be ecological harm? But I don't think that's,
That might have been
Thank
determined.
you.
that's
And
a
that
whole
was probably
different, that's a whole,
determined in
again, I would say that would be a whole different bailiwick. So,
Yeah.
so the
Can I get a copy of that?
the clarification of your point, or the determination is, is the contents of the building of concern to the planning board, or is it just the building and and as you say, the wiring or the,
Well, the things that make it a functional
you know,
building.
the thing, that, you know, the door, whatever. type of thing.
Yeah, that's interesting, yeah.
Heidi, any thoughts on that, Natalie?
I'm not sure how they do the fee structure, so.
Well, we have to wait for the code enforcement officer to come in and talk about that. It normally just talks about the cost of the project, but it's really not very clear. There's a lot of room for things to sway one way or the other.
Looks like this was in, 94 was an expansion of the existing, if I understood right. That's what it wasn't, 94 wasn't, doesn't look like it was the new, original pump house, it was an expansion of the existing pump house.
There was probably a pump house there prior to that, but it was probably before the UDRO as well, so.
Yeah. So it's a 2,100 square foot addition. Planned snowmaking system. Peter, while we're waiting for Joelle, hopefully this is an okay question to ask now. Looking at that, that footprint in 94, is that similar to what you were,
I think,
again, ask that?
there's a current, did you bring drawings with you, Peter?
Yeah, if you want the full-size
Yeah,
sheets.
well, you might be able to, if you just can lay them out where Meredith would be sitting, Cindy could take a look and see what the,
They might be in the book too.
yeah, they could be in that book at the end if they're, yep, that's
Yeah,
probably,
right
yep. No,
I
never,
think there was.
never mind, Peter,
There
I
were
think,
full-size
You got
drawings on
yeah,
a table.
Oh, there they are.
so you can see there where the,
Oh, I see, the
the
existing
difference.
pump house, yep.
Yeah.
Oh, I see, just,
So-
it's just kind of.
yeah, the footprint is not, it's not strictly speaking identical.
Yeah, just kind of shifted a bit.
Yeah.
Well, and that's a question that, I don't know if it's worth discussing too, but we kind of assumed that we needed a new permit because we're moving the footprint of the building, but there may also be a perspective that says if we're just rebuilding in the same general location, then we don't need to get a site plan permit at all. But I would look to the board to kind of make a judgment on that.
You might have to do a hybrid.
Yeah.
It's like it's not as steep with your building.
Is I don't believe when you pulled out the diesel engines that you came to the town first.
I don't know exactly what that was for. I know Joe at one point got permits for a bunch of standby, like genset units, but I don't think those were specifically related to the pump house, so. I'm not
Because,
sure.
well, if you read the 94 application, it was primarily to house 6 diesel generators,
Oh, okay.
which I was assume would be in driving the pumps that were in there.
I know, I guess off record, we can talk about it, but there was a fire in a different building that they ended up having to rent a bunch of generators for, and that would have been in 1994. So probably like 2 months before this application came in, so that might have been part of that as well.
There might have
The
been part of
fire?
it. Wasn't that was the snowflake factory then, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seemed like a little bit later than that, but maybe. I didn't move to Mount Knox until 1986, and I was there when the compressor house worked. So it was 86 or after.
Yeah, 1994 is what
Oh, I thought you said 84.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I heard 84.
It's Joel up to. So I don't have the fee schedule in front of me that the select board uses.
So this cost that's in the packet right here, you are proposing amending this?
I am asking if the board would like to see that amended to include the cost of interior equipment. Joelle felt that that was appropriate, but then she waffled a bit and said it should be your decision.
So the question is, does the value include the machinery that will be installed in the building, or is it just the building itself? With its,
Yeah.
We gonna need cash
the only one that would be able to help us with that is currently off doing something else. Personally, I am comfortable with just the cost of the building itself.
Like this cost schedule
Yeah,
here.
the
which
cost
is-
schedule
yeah.
here, right, as opposed to, because where do you draw the limit if you start
Yeah,
looking at
I
the
agree.
machinery
I agree.
and the piping and everything else?
And it specifically says not including snowmaking equipment.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure that was transparent.
Yeah.
Appreciated.
So, are we all comfortable with just the building structure cost?
Yes, in
Yeah.
paying the fee based on the items here.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay,
Okay.
so we're gonna check in for that
So-
next time.
Let the record show that the fee amount has not been paid to date because of determining the cost of the project, which we have just talked about. So Joelle, we have decided that it was just the proposed cost of the structure,
Okay,
not the equipment that will be installed inside of it
okay,
for your fee determination. Does that clarify everything for your needs?
yeah, so just the structure, so Peter, just give me a cost and,
It's this total here though, right, on this?
Peter, is that the,
Yeah, the budget that I put in 10.4. Yeah, demolition, site development, utilities, and the building.
So what will the fee be when it's actually paid?
I think the fee schedule changed last year, right? So I guess I'll have to double check that.
yeah, we can work on that tomorrow.
It was the same forever.
I'm sorry, I don't know where your budget is, cause I was making copies.
It's in 10.4 on the packet, which is.
I know it's in 10.4, but let's narrow it down a little.
It's 2 pages back from the, if you go all the way to the back where all the folded over maps are,
Yeah,
it's 2 pages in from that one, so get,
okay, thank you.
all right, I think I jumped over Peter giving you an opportunity to present the project, so I will backtrack and let you fill in all the gaps that we haven't already talked about.
So our project is to fully demolish and rebuild the Barker Pump House, which is located next to Barker Base Lodge. It's kind of the heartbeat of the whole snowmaking system. Can go into more detail on how that works if you want, but it's roughly 5,000 square feet. New building's gonna be a little bit smaller because the old building has a bunch of weird wasted space. Once upon a time, there was staff space in that building that's been taken out, and we don't plan to put it back. I think the most important thing you'll see on the site plan is we want to move the transformer pads to the downhill side of the building, which is best practice, but we are not allowed to increase our nonconformity to NERPA or our stream setback, so that means shifting the building uphill to make space for the transformer pads without going closer to the brook. The building is probably going to be very plain, not anticipating any architectural features or anything like that. We anticipate that we'll have to be sprinkled based on conversations with Joelle. Probably gonna have an architect do a quick review, fire suppression. The building won't have any domestic water or wastewater, no bathrooms or hand wash sinks or anything like that. What other details can I give you guys?
The 94 permit mentions a grease sump in the building. Grease trap sump
Okay.
well. Is that still there being used?
Not that I'm aware of. I'm not sure what that would have been for. Well, you said the addition was originally permitted to house generators, right? So that probably would have been for oil from the generators, but not, as far as I'm aware, I've never seen a grease sump in there before.
My principal concern with this is, because of the use of the building over the 32-plus years, is contamination to the soil underneath the building from industrial lubricants, et cetera, et cetera. And given to the proximity to Barker Brook, the possibility that it is either, if there is contamination that's leaching into the brook right now, or possibility that it will, in the future, leach into the brook. And so what I'd like to discuss is the ability to do a soil survey to determine.
And you're not talking about a soil survey for percolation, you're talking about a soil survey for contamination.
Yes.
And I guess, so in the UDRO, what criteria of approval are we?
Well, there's a performance, in section 13, there'd be the performance for groundwater contamination.
Okay. And your concern is not with new contamination from the proposed application, your concern is that we're going to be potentially hauling contaminated fill off-site, or?
My concern is that there has been, or there is, and there currently is a dry well grease sump in the building that at some point over its lifetime could have received hazardous material dumped into it. Commercial lubricants, fuels, solvents, things that are used in machinery spaces. And that depending on, I'm not sure what the structure of the sump is, that it might, if it's just a hole to the ground below it, that there is contamination to the subsoil in and around, underneath and around the building. And so, I would be interested in a survey that would include extractable petroleum hydrocarbons and volatile petroleum hydrocarbons. And as you've mentioned, this would be in compliance with section 13Y of the UDRO performance standards for groundwater protection.
So, are you looking, there's a pretty long rabbit hole we could go down. Are you looking for like VOC samples from the brook, or are we looking for like 2 or 3 discrete test pits where we test at the surface level, or or is there some recommendation that you've received from somebody else on frequency and location?
Okay. I am thinking about a condition of approval. The scope being an investigation to be conducted by either a certified geologist or a professional engineer such as yourself, and specifically target the soil and groundwater beneath and immediately adjacent to the existing interior grease trap sump to be decommissioned.
Okay.
So, can I ask a clarifying question? So is the concern that as they're moving and shifting this building, that they don't leave behind something that's gonna leach Is that what?
Part of that, that is
Exactly.
part of my concern. My concern is that over the history of this, the use of this building for machinery purposes, that industrial solvents, petroleum products, et cetera, have been disposed of in the grease sump and have contaminated the ground underneath the building as it is now, with the potential of it either it is leaching into Barker Brook or potential that it can leach into Barker Brook. And therefore, with the demolishing the building and whatnot, it would be,
Excavation.
it would be an appropriate time to ascertain if there is any contamination. If it is, then
To mitigate it.
to mitigate it.
Yeah.
So, just clarifying, you're not looking for a soil survey to be conducted now as a determination of completeness of the application? You're looking for a condition of approval that after we demo the concrete, we would do some soil testing?
Well, that would be to be determined. There'll be a conditional approval so that you can get the site plan can be approved. However, either prior to demolition or after demolition, but prior to construction of the new building,
Soil extraction.
that the survey is completed and there is opportunity to mitigate without jumping through excessive hoops other than that naturally comes with mitigation.
Yeah, I've had to deal with one oil spill and still have a good relationship with the people who did the soil testing in that site, so we probably would reach out to them for a recommendation of kind of methods and how to do this. But if that's something you're looking for as a condition of approval, I think we can work with you on that.
So the condition, or I'm getting ahead of myself here, but since we're talking about it and you're interested in it, the condition of approval would be titled Subsurface Environmental Characterization and Performance Standard Compliance.
Say it again.
Do you want me just to get him a copy?
Yeah, why don't you just give them?
Okay.
Or,
That'd be better.
and I will, for everybody else's, I
Yeah.
will read it out. So the title is Subsurface Environmental Characterization and Performance Standard Compliance. And the number one requirement, prior to the issuance of any demolition or building permits, the applicant shall submit a targeted subsurface investigation report to the code enforcement officer.
Okay.
Number two, scope. The investigation must be conducted by a Maine certified geologist or professional engineer and must specifically target the soil and groundwater beneath and immediately adjacent to the existing interior grease trap sump to be decommissioned. Number three, analysis. Laboratory analysis shall include extractable petroleum hydrocarbons, EPH, and volatile petroleum hydrocarbons, DPH, to ensure the compliance with UDRO section 13.y groundwater protection, which prohibits the discharge of pollutants that may contaminate any groundwater aquifer. Number four, standards. Analytical results must be compared against current Maine DEP remediation guidelines. Number five, review trigger. Per the board's authority to ensure technical compliance, the CEO shall perform an initial administrative review of the report. If the report indicates any exceedance of Maine DEP screening levels, the CEO is authorized to request that the select board engage a third-party peer review from the town consulting engineer at the applicant's expense via an established review escrow. And last, six, remediation should contamination be identified, a remediation plan must be reviewed and approved by both the Maine DEP and the NEWRY Planning Board prior to any new foundation work or site disturbance in the affected area.
Peter, I don't know if you saw the place on there that talked about that, that was in the findings of fact that a grease trap sump will be installed in the building to catch any contaminants that might spill out of the pumps. So that's where it's,
Yeah, I'll have to take a look at that.
take a look
in more
at that and
detail.
see what that.
Maybe we're getting too far into the weeds, but if we identify that no grease pit was ever put in, is that still something that you're interested in seeing?
How would you be able to ascertain that over the lifespan of that building, that never occurred without doing the soil sample?
I don't know.
I said you could see one, right, when they have to,
Yeah, but you can cover things up, I mean, I
Oh,
think he's
is that
right,
right?
yeah, you gotta check it.
I guess my only hiccup is, we gotta figure out a way to get the approval by both the DEP and the planning board in a reasonable amount of time. Cause we're not gonna be able to do this without cutting into the floor, and by the time we're cutting into the floor, we're not gonna be able to stop for more than a week without blowing the schedule. So I guess, I'll talk to the DEP spill guy who dealt with our last oil spill and see how that would work on their end.
Because I would imagine that they would be the base knowledge,
Yeah,
and I can't see the planning board contradicting whatever findings they come up with.
I'm gonna speak up here for a second. You guys don't have a contact like you had in Christine. You don't have someone that comes out on site almost all the time. Christine was on Sunday River Resorts property.
yeah, since Christine Woodruff
Yeah.
got done, we've really struggled to get their attention.
And I'm concerned that if we are putting a DEP requirement, other than my review of the DEP, the language, I don't have it in front of me. The language that you quoted that I'm gonna review, I'm afraid DEP's gonna take 6 months.
What other alternatives are there if there is indication that triggers your alarm?
If something triggers my alarm, I mean, then that would be a different discussion that we would have to have. But if the report comes back and nothing is triggered,
There's no need to go to DEP.
okay, that's kind of what I'm asking.
Well, let
Okay,
me reread that again.
yeah, I should have printed this out for everyone.
Per the board's authority to ensure technical compliance, the CEO shall perform an initial administrative review of the report.
Okay,
If the report indicates any exceedance of main DEP screening levels, the CEO is authorized to request that the select board engage a third-party peer review from the town's consulting engineer at the applicant's express.
okay.
express.
I like
So-
that better
so-
than dragging
so this
DEP
is-
into this.
There's a couple steps here. One is, you're the first step.
Yep.
Okay? If it triggers,
Mhm.
then the town engages its consulting engineer, assuming that they are qualified to conduct this type of review,
Yeah,
and they come back and give their opinion,
mhm,
and at that point, it can either die or stop,
yeah,
or at that point, it has to go, and now we have to make a report to the state
right,
and
right.
go through all the hoops of mitigation. If that's, at least that's how I
Okay,
interpret this.
all right,
this
thank you.
step to read.
I needed that clarified, because I don't want DEP to be my first stop.
No, the first stop would be you, the second stop would be the town consulting engineer,
Okay,
and then there might be a couple of forks depending on what they come up with.
mhm,
The most obvious one, or the most grievous one would be having to make the report to the state and then kick that into
Okay.
gear.
okay, all right, thank you.
Am I correct in those assumptions?
I think
Follow that
so.
logic?
We're gonna have to find a way to resolve this before we start demolishing the building. And I'm trying to figure out if nobody knows where the grease pit is, I'll call Joe, cause he better know, but, if nobody knows where the grease pit is or was, we're gonna be kinda on a wild goose chase until we actually do demolish the building. So, guess, I don't know if I'm really formulating what I'm trying to say well, but
And it has to go in the same footprint.
the building.
Well,
No,
it's shifted a little
it
bit,
should.
as you can see
No,
on
no,
your
no,
picture.
I'm saying if the proposal is that you're putting it on the same footprint, there's no other place that Sunday River could put a pump house. Let's say that you decide to demolish, that he can't go on the other side of the trail or something, wouldn't have damaged soil.
Yeah, I don't think that there's, I think if we were to find contaminated soil, the move would still be to keep the building in the same spot. We would probably need to do soil remediation. And that's really not that big of a deal. In my experience, we usually just haul it to the landfill. But the process of deciding what we're gonna do is the process that I'm worried is gonna take a while.
And we're not gonna solve that one tonight, because you need to do some homework, because it might be maybe doing test pits around the perimeter of the building.
You might find it, and then it's,
Yeah.
Well, I'll talk to Joe. I will, see if I can come up with some sort of plan that we could carry out, in the next 6 months to put this to bed. And then maybe we can have another discussion, conceptual discussion about if that kind of meets your
thank you.
condition of approval.
Or addresses the concern.
Yeah.
If it's not, if concern is still there when it comes, push comes to shove, then I would be pushing for a condition of approval. But if the concern goes away, justifiably goes away, then all better.
Two more things. One, in my experience, the DEP is a lot less worried about oil spills than I always thought they were. So one of my concerns is we'll call DEP and they'll be like, that's not a big deal, and then the town will say, no, it is a big deal. And then my second kind of thought, is this triggered by has this been like a recent issue in the town, or are we reacting to some other situation? I'm just curious.
It is just the concern I have is you got a building that's been used industrially, and my association with ski resorts over the last 26 years, both here and elsewhere, which is no different than probably a lot of other industrial plants,
Follow the rules from T.
is that there could be possibly some contamination. So
Okay.
I have no previous, smoking gun to look at. I'm just saying, the site is on the banks of the Barker Brook. And that brook suffers enough from road salt and sand and everything else without having to have industrial waste leaching into it. So this is an opportunity to be able to ascertain that it's a clean site, and not trying to just forgive the pun, cover over an existing.
Problem.
Hazmat site.
Especially if it ends up exposed, because it was in where it's not gonna be, and
Right,
it's
right.
exposed, and you get more runoff.
And this building's on a slab, so it would be disturbing soil to re-level and pull up.
Yeah, the existing building has 3 levels, and so we're gonna amend the site to have everything on 1 level.
So there's gonna be a bit of groundwork.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of ground.
And if you look at the contours on the drawing there, you can see.
Yeah, I
that.
saw that.
I think we can come to something that everybody is happy with. I just wanna make sure that I'm set up for success to deal with the problem now, so if we have, we don't have any unforeseen surprises when we start digging in the ground. So I'll do a little homework on that and try to present something that, at least in concept, works for the board
Okay.
when we meet again.
Comments from the board?
That's good discussion.
Nope, I'm good.
All good?
Mhm.
Okay. At this point, okay, so to rehash, we have a site plan application. Board members will review the application in the next 2 weeks to determine whether or not we want to consider this a clean application or an amendment to an existing application.
And they were existing, right?
We've established that we do have jurisdiction. We have established that Sunday River has standing. We have established that Peter Roberts has got agency for that. We've also have identified that the application fee has not been paid. However, information is now available to allow that to proceed. And the CEO has assigned this application a tracking number 26-291. Anything else that we want to? At that point, Peter, unless you have something else that you want to bring to our attention?
My only other one, there's a question in one of the sections that is just a blanket statement of other information as requested by the board, and so I don't want to walk out of here without checking to see if there's any additional information that will be asked for, because I'd love to have that ready to go next time we come in.
Yeah.
Well, given that two members have not had a chance to do a thorough review, I'll reserve that right to ask those questions next time around.
Okay.
As I said, my big question mark is the potential, or determining whether or not there is any soil contamination resulting from the industrial use of the building over the last 32 plus years.
Yeah.
And whatnot. And also, since this is, and again, not to get ahead of myself, because we'll get down to this eventually in the checkoff sheet, since this is a site plan, not a subdivision, the financial performance guarantee is not required by the UDRO unless the board sees fit, seeing that this is totally within the resort grounds, and I don't foresee a need to request for a financial performance, but I'll leave that to other board members to think about too.
And we did include a waiver request for that.
I didn't see it I was looking for that this afternoon, I didn't see it, so check your,
Check the submission.
check your, while we're talking about waivers, submission waivers, are there anything else that you're specifically asking about?
Not that I remember, no.
Okay. Any other items from the board members? Peter, last chance?
I'll remember after I leave.
Okay. Well, write it down then.
Okay.
Then I will then table application 26-291 till our next meeting. And we will pick up from there. At our next meeting, I would like to, first of all, allow board members to have a go back and forth with Peter for any questions you might have. From there, we will go in and review completeness of the application. Finding if application is complete, we will then proceed through the procedures of reviewing for compliance with the ordinance and the criteria of approval, et cetera, et cetera. All right, Peter, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So the rain picked up just in time for me to leave?
What's that?
The rain picked up just in
Yeah.
time for you to leave?
Can I help you grab it?
Okay, next
Have a
let's,
good night.
Night, guys.
good night. Next let's move on to the rules of procedure. At our last meeting, Meredith brought up a concern about expanding or being a little more clear as to what should the minutes be composed of. And she volunteered to put forth something for the inclusion in section 3.7 of the proposed rules of procedure. And that memorandum, which is, I'm sorry, was not distributed even to myself until tonight, is in front of us.
That looks good.
Yeah, I read it before the meeting.
And so what's in the existing draft for 3.7 is basically the bare bones that is in the Maine State statute. And Meredith has expanded on that. And I guess the first one would be to ask for our expert, our resident knowledge base of minutes. And Becky, do you have any comments on?
I just read through it quickly before the meeting, but, I did say that, what is it? Discussion of points, keys, the substance of all motions made, including the name of, and if applicable, the members seconding the motion, that's always applicable. You know, unless a motion,
Whereabouts are you?
uh,
Which bullet then?
3, 4, 5th bullet point.
The substance of all motions made, including the name of the member making the motion.
And
Okay, now,
applicable.
the reason that's there is I think Meredith actually has read the enclosure to the draft rules of procedure where we talk about rules of order for the meeting.
Okay,
And if I recall correctly, those rules of order relax the need for a second in a motion. In other words, that the member could make a motion, and given that the size of the board that we have, that a second would be not necessary.
oh, I didn't know that.
And that would be, again, something that the board should discuss and whether or not they want to go that way or not.
That was under the working sessions at 2.5.2, is that is that what with referencing that, where it says any member may make a motion for a small board, a second is not strictly required to bring a motion to discussion.
Yes. In other words, in drafting these rules of procedures, one of the things I was trying to do was because we are such a small board, to get away from the cumbrance that sometimes trying to paraphrase or parallel Robert's Rules of Order can bring on to the board. And even Robert's Rules of Order openly acknowledges that it's not really set up for small, do I dare say the word, intimate boards.
Yeah.
So that's why Meredith's wording would be so,
If applicable.
If that-
that would be applicable.
Okay.
I would leave the discussion of whether or not the rules of order for a separate discussion point rather than to blend it into discussion for the minutes. That was a good catch there, Cindy. Becky, I should say.
Yep. Becky, Cindy are interchangeable tonight.
Any other comments on 3.7? And if not, are we in consensus that I should go ahead and plot that into
Yes,
the
please.
draft?
Yes.
I will plop it in. Okay, we also have an email dated back on the 15th of April from Heidi, which I will then turn that over to you, Heidi, to.
I don't have that in front of me.
You don't have that in front of you?
Oh, we'll make a copy.
The email that you did?
Yeah, I did. I just sent several items.
Yeah, I need it back though.
Yeah.
You're not ready, man. Plants we honor.
June flowers coming around, or June bugs coming around.
Come on, keep talking about a bug. Okay, that makes, I was looking at my notes on here, where I had written an H next to 3.11, and it's like, what is H stand for? And it's from Heidi. I couldn't remember my, my little cryptic note there.
Right, so Heidi, you still waiting for, or did you?
Well, I
Becky-
can use
Becky,
this one, yeah.
Thank you.
So 3.11, I would like to see us maybe adopt a change that, the board consensus and vote to allow the relaxing of the public comment ability, not just decided by the chair. I think it's specifically worded, and then we wouldn't necessarily have the ability to have a discussion if it's only voted by the chair.
Okay.
For you, for you.
Thank you.
Do you need one?
No.
Would you just say at the board's discussion? I have one. Thank you very much.
Yep.
Is that what you're recommending, Heidi?
So, yeah, so public comment to me can be really tricky.
Yeah.
I served on a school committee board, and it was specific times and locations on the agenda for public comment.
Yeah.
And so I think with applications, sometimes the board, I mean, we're having discussions and conversations with applicants. So I think it should be that the board talks about it as a board to discuss whether or not to allow for public comment, because the way that the rules are written, it can only be the chair.
Oh, I see that there's, so you're looking for almost a consensus by the board to allow public comment, is that what you're?
Right.
Is that what I'm understanding?
And so the usual, the standard would be no public comment, and then the
No,
consensus of the board would relax that?
No, not at all. I'm saying that there should be specific times on the agenda for public comment. So if an applicant comes before and they've notified their abutters, if we're going to hear public comment from abutters, which we have heard in previous applications, there should be a specific time on the agenda that we're allowing public comment. And if there ends up being discussion, I've been in meetings where we're having a back and forth discussion, so it's like I think we have to be more formal about when we allow it and how that actually works.
Could it be as simple, instead of saying the chair's discretion, it could be the board's discretion? By saying the board's discretion, that means that would be, the board is a group, so you would have to have that consensus to have that, is
Right.
that
Right, that's what I'm looking for the board.
board's discretion?
So traditionally, and,
So you're looking at like, the third sentence in 3.11 of this,
Yeah,
so.
yes,
Yeah,
exactly, that's what I was able
So,
to hear.
yeah, 3.11, the third sentence is what she's.
So the one question I have is in 2.3 of the role of the chairperson. It says the chairperson shall preside at all meetings, preserve order and decorum, rule on points of order, procedures, etc. Would the preserve order and decorum cover this? In that, I don't know, I don't, yeah. I'm comfortable either way.
If we fall back to the Bible, which is Robert's Rules of Order, Robert specifically tasked the chairperson the responsibility of running the meeting and setting the agenda, etc. Traditionally, I can't speak for other boards, but this board, until recently, has been very liberal in allowing members of the public to interact with the board. My concern as chair is that the interaction has gotten to the point where they're almost deliberating jointly with the board in as the board goes through its deliberatory matters. And it also has made for it makes for an inefficient meeting because things are prolonged excessively, and I am guilty as much as members in the public of engaging in that inefficiency. So my view is that it should remain as the chair's prerogative. However, any member of the board always has the right to make a motion to question the chair's action and override it if the board so desires that. And without any hard feelings. That's where I come from. So my question to you, Heidi, would be then, with that in mind, does that satisfy your requirements? Now let me tonight we were before completeness, if you will. And so it's, to me, it's to the board's advantage that before completeness in an application, that if the board needs to interact with the applicant, that proceeds, although any interaction with the applicant needs to be done cautiously such that the board is not engaging in a deliberation prior to completeness. So the board should be able to interact with the applicant to expand upon evidence that's been submitted or identify evidence that is lacking, but should not indicate a thought process that would be considered deliberation.
So,
Am I?
yes, and what I was mostly talking about was public comment from abutters.
Okay.
So I'm trying to be clear here. So I think that if we're notifying abutters, what's the purpose of notifying abutters if they are not gonna have?
It's the public hearing that they're supposed to come to.
Well,
But not every
Right.
applicant has a public
Right.
hearing either.
Right.
And your point is very well taken.
Yeah.
Okay. There are two possible avenues here. One is that our bylaws allow for written input to the board as long as it's up to 36 hours before the board meeting. So it doesn't have to wait. It doesn't, unlike the applicant that has a very long window of deadline submission. Members of the public can communicate to the board in writing up to 36 hours before the board meeting. Now, that's in writing, I understand that. And your point is, well, how about giving them an opportunity to orally present themselves to the board, even though it's not a public hearing?
Right, if you have it on the agenda, people might not be here, but you could have a 2-minute comment period prior to this, the start of a.
So our select board has on their agenda, at the very early part of the agenda, an opportunity for public comment.
Right,
Yeah.
Now, that is prior to any business being discussed at that meeting. Would that satisfy that need, or does the opportunity for public comment while we're discussing the business item does need to be at that point?
I don't know, however, I think that we should have it on a specific location on our agenda, and we can decide where that could be.
Okay.
I know,
So-
but this, from like, I know in the city councils for Burlington, is that they would do, there's public comment, but if there's something on the agenda that somebody is doing, you could do public comment before that item, so it's, but I don't know about planning boards, that's the only.
Well, the danger that I see here, or the risk that I see here is if you have, and you advertise public comment without designating it a public hearing, so the normal announcements that are required for a public hearing are not made. You have your regular meeting, you hear from an abutter, and then subsequent to that, an interested party is aggrieved and claims that they were not given the opportunity to address the board, or the board had held a public hearing without proper notification. And
So the public, so for planning board, the opportunity for someone to give input, one, they can send something in writing, but the second, in this standard situation, is during that public hearing time. That's when the abutter
that's
has the opportunity to give.
that's a traditional
That's a
time would
traditional
be,
comment. And
so,
typically, when we're hearing from, when we are doing any interaction, the chair's discretion is more with the applicant in trying to, anything related to the project, but not necessarily an abutter.
right. Although, and part, and I think one of the things that Heidi has picked up on is on my spiel about the Freedom of Information Act, and I discuss about the public's, what they are allowed to do and what they're not allowed to do. And maybe I should amend my spiel to remove the, I can, at my discretion, I can allow people to talk about, although that's another possibility. So as I said, Heidi, I'm monopolizing, so I'll let you take it.
No, it's okay, I think that if we are really specific and we're we're following the same rules for every applicant, like, you say you're gonna always have a hearing for every applicant, there's always abutters, right? So whether people come or not, we still have to build something in for that specific time period, I think.
So that
It's consistency across applications, and
Okay, so,
also,
go ahead.
yeah, I'm just looking for consistency, that's all. It could be that we have things in the future that, we should definitely have a public hearing for, but if we're not going to, and somebody shows up that's in a butter, are we gonna allow public comment, and what's the specific time that you're gonna listen to it?
So, if there is a public hearing, there is a series of hoops that we have to go through in order to notify the public.
Can you have public comment just as a standard agenda line on our regular?
Well, that's what I was, I guess that's the question. So if I was to take our agenda and after,
Correspondence.
after
received.
correspondence received, or before, just before, after minutes approved, but correspondence received,
Yeah,
we just say public comment
right.
with that.
Yeah.
Does
Right.
that open Pandora's box?
It
Let's say
doesn't-
this person isn't, it turns out that we vote, they don't like the way we voted on a project, do they become an aggrieved party and can file an appeal?
If it's just public comment, I don't think so. I mean, that would be an issue
I-
I ask, because it's
don't know.
public comment, it's not, but the important part with public comment, my understanding is that there's no back and forth. The person makes their comment, and then the chair says, thank you for your information,
Right, and you
The
can
next
limit
person.
it to a time.
and it's
Like,
next
there are
person,
2
so
minutes
there's
for
no
public
And,
comment.
and
back
actually,
forth,
public
it's
hearings
just
is supposed to be that way too.
Yeah, so it's not back
Although
and
not very
forth,
often
it's
observed, but then it's supposed to be that
it's
way.
just a clear statement, and then you move to the next person, and
So, and I guess Joelle, to counter your point, is if the board allows written comment, it
Yeah,
doesn't, is that any different than not allowing a oral comment?
I'm concerned about either for a planning board to open up a public comment period without having a public hearing. That's my concern. I just don't know how we do that. We can all watch the videos of school boards right now, and they can get very contentious, they don't like the time limits, they want their, 15 minutes to ramble on whatever they wanna ramble on. I just don't know to what end a public comment is gonna be, even for an abutter. I agree with the consistency, and then the back of my head, it's like, it's a lot line amendment of skyline, who's gonna care? But maybe people will care. So I don't know if maybe it's something we go along and go back and fix the public hearing standards to make them consistent, no matter what.
Well, public
I don't
hearing
know.
right now is required for any major subdivision.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and it has to be posted in your publications and stuff.
Oh, that's why I'm saying it. If we're gonna have public comment, it should be during a public hearing.
Right,
Yeah.
but why though,
You're gonna
because you're
post-
set, so every application is gonna be posted in 2 newspapers for
No,
2 weeks?
it's gotta be published twice, huh?
Twice.
Yeah, it could be on a Thursday and then a Monday, but,
Posted in 3 areas in the town,
yep, we do
Right.
that.
yeah,
Would we-
for
would we-
every application.
who would we check with? Is that a Maine Municipal Association piece to check with to see if
What happens if we allow public comment?
If
That's,
public comment
yeah,
is a standard agenda
Well,
item for planning
It
board,
used to be
a Maine municipal.
Maine municipal.
or whatever they
Now
are
they, now they would just sit there and say, you need to consult your town attorney.
Oh.
I'm really
Is that
concerned
right?
about that we get an email from somebody and that makes it part of the record, but somebody can't show up. What
Okay.
if they don't have email? I mean, I think that it's.
So then maybe the written comment should be,
Well, they can show
But-
up though.
well, we're
There's
written,
nothing saying they can't show up.
now, written comment can be submitted to the application, can it not, Becky?
The written comment,
A written, from an abutter,
we had one, yeah, I mean, they can.
They can go directly to Sunday River. They don't even have to come to us.
no, but I mean,
Or they can
I
send it
mean,
to the town.
if
Yeah.
if we're doing an application review and we get a written comment, that can be entered into the record as the, of the application.
Totally.
It's totally legal for that.
The board doesn't have to react to the comment
Right,
at all.
Right, it just becomes part. Okay, so, to support Heidi's argument, what's the difference of that to a oral
Right.
comment that isn't a public,
I don't know.
So.
What's the purpose of notifying abutters?
to give them the
So that
opportunity
they
to.
know.
To review, so that they're aware of what's going on.
In case
So-
they're not looking at
so-
the agenda.
So,
Right,
an abutter is an interested party,
yes.
Right?
and interested parties, if they feel aggrieved, have the right to appeal. Whereas a non-interested party can't do that.
Wouldn't we wanna know about an aggrieved during the process or at the beginning of a process versus after?
I'm not-
Yes, but that's why I'm asking.
Well, I think,
Should be a public hearing.
so, I think,
Then what you're
I
saying
think a
is that
public
every
hearing is usually scheduled for any application that the board feels will have greater response from the butters, so you're not taking up so much time in your meeting. So probably just a generic public comment section on your agenda, you know, would suffice. I don't think that that would complicate anything with,
So Joel, I know select board is not your favorite place.
No. Sorry.
Or nor are you involved in its flow of flow in the meeting, but when the town does the public hearing for a liquor license renewal,
Mhm.
has that been advertised?
It has to be
has
advertised,
to be
yeah,
advertised.
Yeah.
It has been advertised?
Yeah.
Even though, okay,
yes.
and I assume that the applicant is the one who's paying the,
I would
No.
assume that the applicant eventually gets a bill for that advertising.
Well, do we still have like a little,
No, that stopped years ago.
better, I mean, because I do all the liquor license renewals for some of them. I've never been asked for money.
so right now the town's absorbing,
Or they're not advertising.
or
No,
they're
they
not
are.
advertising.
It's like $130 for a little public notice this big in the paper.
Right, I think I've seen them in the double.
I see it for Bethel all the time, I don't think I've ever seen one for Newry.
I don't think so either.
Well, you know what too, though, now, because I don't have to come before the select board anymore, because it's no longer a paper application.
But they still do a public
I
hearing.
have to do it through Bells
Yeah.
for the state,
Right,
and then it gets forwarded on to Retta,
right.
who I think has.
She still has to do a public hearing.
Right, I never have to come here
No.
anymore, and I used to have to bring a check, I send her a check now,
Okay.
for the
Okay, so-
liquor license
I just,
rule, but not.
that's,
not posting
yeah.
in the paper.
I don't know what the select board does. There's my short answer.
I don't know.
Okay, so Heidi, I will do a little,
Yeah.
if I understand what what you're shooting for is a designated public comment period
Yes,
on the agenda on every agenda.
yes.
I will do some digging.
I have seen on other boards a public comment section in the beginning. Maybe somebody just wants to come and say, hey, I have a problem with the lighting that's proposed for this project. I just want to make that heard.
Yes,
Thank you very much. And out the door they walk.
right.
But they may want to wait and see what the board's doing with an application and then have public comment at the end of
Or
the
they-
agenda.
Or they could come in and just have something totally off the wall.
They very well could.
Like the culvert down my street is clogged.
Yeah,
And then maybe-
Well, you can put it in your public comments, the rules of the public comment, that you have to identify yourself.
Yeah.
You have 2 minutes to speak.
yeah, we did that in Oxford. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so,
I'm not opposed to that, I just wanna do a little more.
Yeah,
Mhm.
a
and I
little
just
more.
wanted to make it stand.
All right, let's hopefully that the 7.2, 8.7, 8.1, 8.6 don't take us much time.
Yeah.
I think 7.2 is easy. So the time limit for requesting reconsideration, I know that's the reconsideration by the board. However, we've had applications where the filing, we signed and the filing went right to the state as soon as the,
It goes to the registry,
Yeah.
not the state.
To the registry, sorry, that's what I meant to say. So I'm wondering how that can we could actually have reconsideration if we're allowing that to happen.
Because whatever goes to the registry can be reversed.
Yeah.
And I'll give you an example.
Okay,
Prior to your being on the board, there was a lot line amendment, subdivision amendment that came to the board. Well, actually, before the amendment came to the board, there was a lot split in a subdivision recorded in the registry of deeds,
Okay,
which is how the town came to know about it. And the town called up the attorney and said, this is a subdivision, Joe. Ooh, you're right. And within 28 days of the initial registry, the deed was reversed in the registry.
okay.
So in the, to counter your point, or to perhaps satisfy your point, in the rare event that a board member, after going through and approving with condition,
Yeah.
and application, coming back within the 21 days and saying, hey guys, we really did a boo-boo here, and we were totally out to lunch, and we need to reconsider this, it's probably not likely. But it could happen. If that's happened, then the board has to sit there and say, mea culpa, probably pay for the registry of deeds fee to reverse that type of thing. So that can be
Yeah.
done.
Okay,
Um,
I'm okay
So-
with that then.
okay.
Yeah,
We're doing it right now for another deed that got recorded that turned it into a subdivision, my second one in 2 years.
okay,
Yeah.
all right,
So-
that's okay.
So I think that, while it's not the best of situations, it can be reversed.
Yeah, okay.
It can be reversed.
On 8.7, I just wanted to add the word all, criteria, so that we would go through the whole criteria.
Yeah, after the review of all ordinances, criteria stating the reason for denial based on specific ordinance criteria not met. Okay.
I just wanted to add the one word all,
Where would that,
on 8.7.
you know, but where?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out where the all goes. Oh, approve with all conditions, second bullet point, is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Let me see, do you have
Or approve with
a-
specific?
Thank you.
Oh, so it said approve, instead of saying approve with specific conditions, would it say approve with all conditions?
No, it was the deny one,
Oh, okay.
it was in the deny section.
Yeah, I agree, I think that should, I think we should go through all the criteria
Yeah.
before we deny.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
said
yeah,
all
exactly.
ordinance criteria
And I
not
just
met.
wanted to add that one word.
Yeah,
Yep, that makes sense.
Deny the application stating the reason for the denial based on specific.
On all ordinance criteria not met.
On
Yep.
all-
No,
But I don't think
No.
that's what Heidi is getting to. Heidi
No.
is getting to the fact that the board did a shortcut, denied an application without
all, yeah.
without reviewing all 21 criteria of
Right.
approvals. So the best way would be to how to do.
You could add it to the beginning of 8.7, so the board shall make decisions based on all findings of facts.
of all 21 criteria, or
Yeah.
maybe not number the criteria, but
How about, how about, on the last sentence there, the board may say, after reviewing all criteria of approval, the board may,
Perfect.
Yeah,
Yep.
okay, that sounds good.
okay?
Where is he looking? He's saying, right here, right in here.
Oh, he's gonna
Yeah.
add it
Okay.
after reviewing.
Okay,
And sorry, I'm backtracking to 8.1. 8.1 was, I just wanted to see if we could define the purpose of the pre-application conference, so that all applicants were treated consistently, whether having professional representation or not by the applicant. So in other words, what, in 8.1, it says pre-application conference. The board will follow the pre-application procedures outlined. The board will, and the town staff will encourage potential applications to seek the pre-application conference. So does that mean that they're gonna go through all of the pre-application procedures?
Section 9 of the UDR.
Which will all get renumbered, hopefully after next Tuesday.
Yeah, they're all, well, I'll have to memorize them all
May
over.
12th, is that the date?
Yes, town
the-
meeting, May 12th.
The procedures for a pre-application review in the UDRO has to be one of the shortest sections other than reserved.
Yes.
In that it
section
doesn't
one.
really, there are no procedures or standards or anything set at the UDRO.
Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, it does come right out and say the planning board makes specific suggestions to be incorporated by the applicant.
Well, that's what,
Okay.
that's,
Now-
And we try not
thank
to.
you.
Okay, now,
But we should be consistent. That's
right, we
what-
need to be consistent. Now, you know, pet peeve of mine here, sorry. but,
I know.
There's nothing more infuriating to me as a board member to have set time aside for a pre-application review. The applicant comes in, looks at us with a straight face and says, "You guys have any questions?"
But what do you wanna see? No, we're not telling you how to do your job.
Yeah.
They need to come with better
So-
prepared
So,
questions.
as opposed to the applicant coming in and saying, "I'm a little confused about section XX dot Alpha Bravo Charlie, and I was wondering if you could give us a little more explanation on that section."
Mhm.
Now, my biggest fear, my biggest concern about a pre-application review is that the board enters into this deliberation or makes a deliberation, a judgment of applying the ordinance to an application that hasn't even been officially submitted. And so, while it is a great opportunity for board members to ask general questions of an application, I, for one, am very uncomfortable saying, well, your application is going to conflict with section 19A of the UDRO. It doesn't allow this to happen. You see my argument?
I know, and I'm just trying to be explicit for every applicant that what is the purpose of a pre-application conference, so that we specifically spell it out, so that everyone's treated
So
consistently.
what you're asking for is a little more expansion here, saying that that the pre-application conference is intended to give the opportunity for an applicant to ask specific questions or details about the ordinance. Would that,
Right,
okay.
yeah, just say what the purpose is, so that the applicant
But-
is,
But would that be, should that be in the section 9 of the UDRO specifically?
Might be an edit for next year's
Are
UDRO.
Well,
are you suggesting an amendment to the UDRO?
I'm worried because this doesn't tell us anything. I mean, if you're gonna go by that, then you have to do what it says, what you're saying that you don't wanna do.
Well, maybe that
You're,
needs to be
I mean,
added.
in there,
It
it
does,
says
it
you're
says it.
supposed to be
It says the
doing
planning
that.
board will make specific suggestions to be incorporated by the applicant
Okay,
into the
now a
submission.
suggestion,
Yeah,
okay, now, I have made suggestions to an applicant,
and they've not followed it.
but it's not it's, you need to pay attention to section umptium. That's all I said. I didn't say you're not in, you won't be in compliance, or if you don't do this, you can't do that. I simply said, please direct your attention to section umptium. I think it was a couple of umptiums and
Yeah.
umptiums.
It could be roads, it could be
Yeah,
setbacks,
yeah.
it could be anything.
Could be anything.
Yeah.
That, to me, is probably going up to, but not crossing that line of be making a deliberation. In other words, you just simply, hey, make sure that you, hey, You might just want to review this section, that not telling them whether or not it's an issue or not.
We've done that with multiple applicants. Yeah.
Is that, does that make any,
Would you, here's a question, is something like the pre-application conference, getting to the UDRO and whether it's amended, this is easier to change, correct?
much
So
easier, much easier?
Should the UDRO,
But
you
the
still have
applicant
to change
doesn't
it.
see this.
Should, even though you still have to change it, should the change for the UDRO point to this for what the application conference is?
No, because I think that you got it backwards. This needs to point to the UDRO.
Well, yeah, I was just thinking this could be easier to adjust it.
It would be easier to adjust, but,
Just thinking
but,
that it's a, okay.
but this is,
I'm just suggesting that that conference needs to be consistent for every
okay,
applicant.
Yeah.
I'm all for consistency.
So then we need to
Yeah.
change something in if we don't, then the UDRO is where it should be, I would think then, since we're
Well,
pointing back there.
But in the meantime, we as a board need to be consistent
Yeah,
with, from one applicant to another as much as possible. I'm totally support
Yeah.
you on that one.
and then as a chair, that's part of what you can do is help us be consistent. Keep
First of all, I
rolling
gotta
line.
be consistent. All right, Heidi,
That other one that I was talking about, with,
8.6.
it was 8.6 was the public, that was tied in with the other,
With
With
the
eight.
3.11?
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay. All right, so,
Yeah.
I got the modification to 8.7 and that, third sentence.
You make good progress on this one.
And, I have.
Meredith addition.
Meredith's one, and while I don't have it in front of me, there is one new section to be added to this, which I will get to everybody here shortly, and that would be, insert in front of section 4, a section on executive session.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that'll be good to have in there.
So again, I don't desire to be going into executive session, but should that come up to the board at some point, we'll have a outline of how that should be done in
That
order
would
to
like
be
a
in compliance.
3.12.
I'm sorry?
That would be like a 3.12.
There'll be actually section 4 and beyond will be renumbered,
Okay,
and there'll be a new section 4 called executive
okay.
session, remote participation will become 5,
Yeah,
and they'll just
gotcha.
tumble down that way.
Yeah.
And as I said, I will get that out to everybody to look at before the next meeting, along with these other edits. And hopefully, let's make it a goal so at the next meeting, I can go back to the select board and ask for their permission to
Sounds
send
great.
this to the town council. Just for, okay, anything else on this one here?
No, that was good, you made good progress.
Okay.
And you were almost ready to take it off the agenda, you were threatening.
I was. I was getting tired of that. All right, let's go on with reports.
Yes, I will report on 2 meetings. So I
Okay.
wasn't here to report on the April meeting, but I think that the comprehensive planning committee has been moving right along really well. The sections on housing and economic are done, and we will have an upcoming public engagement session to talk about the contents and do a presentation.
Oh, do you have the date for that?
Yeah, I think it's gonna be June 23rd at 6 o'clock, which is a Tuesday.
June 23rd.
And we're hoping to have the next section coming on recreation by next week, so. They're gonna have, so there's a bunch of sections that are part of the comprehensive plan, we're probably like halfway through. So they're gonna do a first engagement session on the first initial part, and then probably another one in the fall once we've gotten through the back half of the
What time was the
comprehensive
23rd one?
It's gonna be at 6 o'clock. That'll all come out
Yeah.
in a formal notice.
Okay,
And we've been bringing up lots of things which will be great data to present to the town on, in two different ways. One's a deep dive, detailed plan, and then one of them's an executive summary. So I think that I'll be mostly presenting the executive summary to the public engagement. And then the documents will be available online for review.
if it fits into your meetings and whatnot, again, I would like to stress that for the planning board, we need the comprehensive plan to be, committee to be looking down the road as to potential future challenges.
Yes, we actually brought up future challenges of data centers and what impact that could
Well,
have.
that was one of them that I was
I
gonna
did
talk.
bring that up.
Data centers, groundwater
Yes.
availability,
When,
and things like
Yeah,
that. So
all
just, you're on top of it.
yeah,
Good, thank you.
totally.
Just please, because otherwise, up until now, it's been the planning board that's been trying
No,
to,
we are on
anticipate
it,
those.
and those will be included. So the first sections that were on housing, recreation, that's not the part of data centers and impacts like that. That's gonna be the next
Okay.
one.
Glad to hear
Yes,
that.
we are on it. I am on
Okay,
it.
anything else?
Nope, that's it.
Madam CEO?
I gave you all a copy of what the third-party inspector reports look like coming out of Lock Summit. This is just information for you guys to see what they submit and how they submit it to me.
That's great to see.
I've written my part, and I'm sure Erica will do some editing for the comprehensive plan. I gave her my spiel on short-term rentals and the cause and effect of excess effluent. So, she's got that, she loved it.
Yeah, she's great.
She is
loves
great.
anything that you give to her, but.
Yes, she does, huh? And I think that's it. I also have the cistern designs. They do meet for Lock Summit, and they do meet the standards. And I've got, that's all working its way also through the process. Okay?
Okay, and there's also in front of us was the town administrator provided us with an update on the escrow. I will not dive into that, but if anybody is interested in it, you can review it and direct any questions that you may have to Loretta. I can't remember the exact date in June, I think it was June 24th.
Yeah, I wrote that down on my schedule to ask about that. I thought that sounded good.
Okay, AdCog is having a
we had open discussion.
open discussion on LD 2283 or something like that,
Something like that.
which is the latest LD that amends the previous LDs.
2173.
2173, I was close.
Yep.
That, those are the amendments or changes to LD 1829 and 799 and
Yeah, all of the three that we were concerned with.
which will affect us going forward, depending on how it affects our density standards in the UDRO.
Mhm.
They're having this open discussion at South Paris, I believe.
South Paris Fire Department?
Yeah, South Paris Fire Department, 6 o'clock on June 24th, with a greet and meet at 5 o'clock.
With two of the MOCA. They're the same people that presented it to
Yeah.
code officers.
Yeah,
about
MOCA
a
is
month
the
ago.
main office of community affairs, or something like that. So they're the ones who are the ones that dealing with housing and the housing initiatives from at the state level,
Yep.
et cetera, et cetera.
Okay, question, if we have light agendas prior to that one on the 24th, it would be great to go over the NEWRY's different growth area, like what are the different rural?
Okay, I don't think we have a meeting on the 24th.
No, before that, I
Oh,
said.
yeah, next
If we
meeting.
have,
Okay.
if we've got one that's a light, otherwise I could meet with Joelle or something to
Okay.
just kind of review what are, because I think looking at that and understanding where NEWRY's
Okay,
areas.
there is a section in the UDRO that deals with that.
Okay, okay.
And then, yeah, after you review that, certainly Joel would be more than happy to entertain questions with you.
Okay,
They're called development districts.
yep,
We have 4 of them. We have the Resort Development District,
yep,
the General Development District, the Rural Development District, and the protected development district. The biggest, quick rundown on that is the size of lots and density allowed is
Yeah,
dictated by that. For instance, where you live, that's in the resort development district, and the minimum lot size there is a quarter acre, if I remember correctly, or half acre, one of the two. As opposed to if you were down,
Right here.
right here, it'd be a 1 acre minimum. And if you were up the road and off the road a bit, in the rural area, it would be 2 acres.
and that's with the currents, with what that,
That was,
with the new,
that's what we will call the zoning.
yeah,
Yeah.
And the new law is, deals, the other issue that's gotten very confused is this critter called an additional accessory dwelling unit.
yeah,
And what it is, and how many can you have on your property,
yeah.
and how that's affect the density, et cetera, et cetera. And that's a big, can be a big rat's nest, because in this town, we have numerous built-out basements that have been made into accessory dwelling units that have never been pulled a permit.
We don't find them until a realtor gets
And you
involved.
don't find them, if you find them after that, anyway. But that's what that's, so,
Okay.
on the 24th, if you're so inclined, it sounds like it's informational. Erica Buffkin does request an RSVP,
Yeah.
positive RSVP. Negative RSVPs are not required if you're
Yeah.
planning on going. I don't think there's anything else coming from MMA. There's a freedom of access webinar.
I don't know, I delete
which
all of those.
doesn't matter for that.
Unless it has to do something with planning,
Yeah,
goes away.
Yeah, I don't think we got anything else coming up on that. Town meeting is a week from yesterday. Please be there to support sit through everything else, so that when you get down to the third to the last warrant item, you can say yay.
Is this like one of those town meetings? For my first NEWRY town meeting, like, do people bring snacks to share?
No,
Not really?
not since COVID.
No.
No, there used to be a potluck dinner
Used to be,
before
used
that.
to
but
potluck, Greenwood used
I
to
could
break
bring cookies
halfway
if I
through.
wanted, though.
You can bring cookies if you want, yes.
that's-
Yeah.
The town office staff sometimes has donuts or something at the registration table.
Yeah, I guess.
But,
I'm not up there, so I don't know, I go and sit
So
down.
but please come, because you'll be able to sample the new seats that the town has purchased.
They're a lot like those. Which beat the heck out of those wooden ones. but,
Okay, at the risk of not prolonging this meeting any further, I will take a motion.
Motion to adjourn?
Yes.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
1, 2, 3.
Okay, this meeting is adjourned. The next meeting is on the 20th of May.
I will not be